Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Risky Business.
Yeah, risky business. Let's go. Another headline, burnout on an endless highway. Gotta read between the white lines and do it my way. Got gas in my veins and fire in the ignition. This ain't a gamble, mate, it's a new tradition. Risky business. Risky business. Risky business. Every single time.
Alright, hope you like the intro. Today I'm going to be talking about ANZACs, because it's ANZAC Day's coming up. ANZAC Day stands for the Australian New Zealand Army Corps, and it's the day that we remember what they did and celebrate it. Usually it's done by a dawn service where they play the last post, and they lay the wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier, and it's a very solemn occasion. I've been to quite a few, and it's always good. If you get a chance, probably the one in Melbourne's the best. So you go there, they do the dawn service, and then afterwards you walk through the Shrine of Remembrance. Get down there if you can, and then later on in the day they have a parade. So they march all through the streets, all the different heroes, and it's always a good time. So I want to talk about the Anzacs in World War One. So my great grandfather was a soldier in World War One. He was a lance corporal, and he fought on the Hindenburg line under Monash, John Monash. So he was the general at the time. So my great grandfather was his job was to drive ammunition to the front. So, and when you think about driving, you normally think about a truck. Nope, he had horse and carts. So they had a number of horses, teams lined up, all the ammunition on the back, and he would ride first Bastillion, they call it. So that's between the two front horses, steering them like this. So very like a daredevil behaviour. And so he always spoke highly of Monash, and he hated cars. So don't know what you think about what my profession is and my hobbies. He hated cars and he hated planes, so he always took a train everywhere or a horse. So he said the planes would just fall out of the sky in the war. So they were the little tiger moths and stuff like that. So there was... I'll tell you about how Australia won the war for the Allied side. So Monash got in charge of the Allied forces, and he had 200,000 men under him, including 50,000 American soldiers. So back then it was trench warfare, so they had a game plan every day. So they would fire mustard gas in the morning, first thing. Everyone would sit down, put their gas masks on, wait for the mustard gas to clear, and then while that was happening, they would shoot artillery over, and so bomb the other side. And then once the artillery was done, that's when it was time to go over the top. So the guys would then go over, take a trench, and then it would be back and forth like that every day, same thing. And it went on for years, and everyone's just shuffling one trench to the next, back again, and nothing was getting done. So Monash saw this and decided there's got to be a better way. So one morning he decided mustard gas isn't it. We're shooting dry ice over. So anyway, they shoot dry ice over. All the Germans sit down, put their gas masks on, wait for it to dissipate. Next thing, there's Australians, there's Americans, everyone's coming over the top, slaughtering them all. So it didn't take long. It took 9 battles to end the war. So, you know, Hitler's big claim to fame was that we weren't done fighting, but yeah, that's what happens when you get Australians there. So, another big part of that war was the Australian Light Horse. So, they were part of the Gallipoli campaign too, but their horses had to stay in North Africa. And the Aussies were pinned down in Gallipoli for, I think, around 18 months. So they were trapped on the hillside, and that's how they got the name diggers, because they'd just dig into the ground and wherever they were. And anyway, they were just following their orders, and they were stuck there for so long. And then they did a retreat during the night time, and they had elaborate things set up that like water tins hooked up to triggers on guns and that to shoot and make it sound like they were still there. Yeah, next thing the Turkish didn't know what happened until we were gone. So it's one of the most famous retreats in history. But those men were battle hardened at that point in time. So if you're a light horseman, the only thing you want to do is get on your horse and ride. So their horses were all acclimatised to the area, and they got set off into the Palestine region. And yeah, they did well. So they fought the Battle of Beersheba. So that was the light horse versus machine guns. So they charged. It's the last successful cavalry charge in history against machine guns. They took the town of Beersheba. They killed over 1,000 men and captured 1,900 men, and they only lost 171 of the light horsemen. So these guys were wild men. So I've got a mate, his old man was one of these light horsemen, and he's got stories about, they used to ride around and do whatever they wanted as long as it was for the war effort. So but yeah, so that's where you get Australians think about things different ways. We're not really people that follow orders very well unless we understand what's going on. Going over the top doesn't work for us. Because we can see things aren't working and they just keep doing the same thing. So same thing in World War II. World War II, the Australians were in North Africa again, fighting against Rommel and his tanks, and the retreat was on, and they got told to hold Tobruk for, I think it was like 24 hours to 2 days, and they held Tobruk for 3 months. So, and Rommel called them the rats of Tobruk, because they were there, but they could never find them. Whenever they tried to attack them, they were gone. So, and he also said that if he had a battalion of Australians, the war would be over in 6 weeks. So anyway, from there they went to Greece. They were kicked out of Greece, and then they retreated to Crete. And from Crete they came back to Australia because the Japanese were moving down through Papua New Guinea. So they'd already taken Singapore. I used to know some guys that were in Changi prison and during the war. So there was some real bad atrocities there. They were forced labour and starved and torture and everything. So anyway, the Japanese were coming down through Papua New Guinea. And my cousin's grandpa, he was one of the chocolate soldiers there. So they got a group of guys. So there was 600 untrained soldiers and 300 that had 2 weeks worth of training, and they had to go to sort out Papua New Guinea and protect Australia because the Australian infantry force was still in Crete and on their way back. So they called them chocolate soldiers because they said they'd melt in the heat of battle. So he said that they were sort of milling around where they were in Papua New Guinea, and they noticed 1 or 2 villagers sort of come out from the back of the camp they had, and someone decided to ask them, well, where'd you come from? And they said, oh, there's a track, so there's a Kokoda trail that goes from Port Moresby down to the other side of the island. So him and a bunch of other guys said, oh, we better put up a little defensive position there because the Japanese might decide to come that way. Anyway, they went up there to set up the defender's position. They ran into some Japanese, so they got in a bit of a firefight and all that, and they thought, oh shit, we're in trouble here. So they carried on, set up more defences, and they were doing a lot of cover and move and a lot of guerrilla. They invented guerrilla warfare there because they were untrained. They didn't know the regular things that soldiers would do. So eventually the Australian infantry force came back, and they tried to fight it a normal way, and it didn't work. So the Chocos had to show them how to handle it. Anyway, that was the first defeat the Japanese had in World War II, and they didn't have a word for it, is what they're saying. They had to give the order to advance to the rear. There's no retreat. So, and then the Americans came and helped with that too. So that's when MacArthur came in. He didn't like the way the Australians were fighting, but it was very effective. So they went up and helped them take the Philippines, and one of the guy that took all the pictures of the surrender on the Japanese side. So I've seen the camera. I've held the camera that took the pictures of the Japanese surrender. So pretty important artifact that. The Japanese were so sure of their victory that they had money and everything printed, ready to go. So they called them Australian Gideons. I've got some at home. So that's how close we were to being taken out. But the Australian spirit and just the fighting in them keeps them going. Also the New Zealanders too, they're all part of it. And it's an important day coming up. So I hope everyone gets down there and shows their support. And this has been Risky Business.